Dozens of Canadians have been charged in a sweeping criminal case after allegedly scamming hundreds of elderly Americans out of more than $21 million in what authorities describe as an elaborate grandparent scam. 25 individuals, almost all from Quebec, face charges of conspiracy to defraud. 5 of them are also accused of conspiring to commit money laundering, according to a statement released by the Office of the United States Attorney for the District of Vermont. The indictment, issued by a federal grand jury in late February, lists the suspects by both name and alias. Colorful nicknames like Muscles, Elvis, Blondie, Happy, Honda, and Toast, painting a picture of a sprawling operation that manipulated emotion and fear for profit. The scam, which began in the summer of 2021, reportedly targeted elderly victims in 46 U.S. states. Prosecutors say the group operated out of call centers in the Montreal area, using spoofing technology to make it appear as if calls originated from within the United States. The defendants allegedly used detailed spreadsheets containing the personal information of potential victims, such as age and income, to tailor their calls. The callers would impersonate grandchildren, claiming to be in legal trouble after a car crash and in need of bail money. To deepen the deception, another member of the ring would pose as an attorney, invoking a fictitious gag order to prevent the victims from alerting other family members. Victims were often convinced to hand over money directly to couriers posing as bail bondsmen, who would show up at their homes in cities like New York and Chicago. In some cases, funds were mailed. Prosecutors claim the money was then funneled back to Canada, sometimes through cryptocurrency, effectively masking the trail and identities of those involved. The indictment describes these financial maneuvers as essential to promoting and paying the operating expenses of the grandparent scam. In some instances, the fraud didn't stop after the first payment. Scammers would contact victims again, claiming the bail amount had increased and more money was needed. Within the ring, those victims who gave large sums were referred to as whales. The entire scheme was active until early June 2024, when Canadian law enforcement raided the call centers. On that day, one defendant was caught in his vehicle with multiple cell phones and detailed lists of elderly targets across several U.S. states. At the same time, more than a dozen others were apprehended mid-scam, actively making calls to elderly individuals in Virginia. All but 2 of the suspects have since been arrested in Canada. Authorities credit the operation's success to strong cross-border cooperation between federal and local agencies in both countries. The suspects now face up to 20 years in prison for fraud conspiracy. The 5 individuals alleged to have managed the call centers, Gareth West, Usman Khalid, Andrew Tato, Stefan Mosquin, and Ricky Yilamaki, face an additional charge of conspiracy to commit money laundering, which carries a maximum penalty of 40 years. West and Yilamaki remain at large. This latest round of indictments builds on earlier efforts. 9 individuals from places as diverse as Miami, Los Angeles, Montreal, and even Guangzhou, China, had already been charged in Vermont in connection with the same criminal enterprise. Grandparent scams have become alarmingly common, enabled by easy access to personal data scraped from social media or purchased through criminal networks. Scammers exploit emotional vulnerabilities, often using artificial intelligence to convincingly mimic the voices of loved ones, a tactic that has grown more sophisticated and frightening. The Federal Communications Commission, FCC, and Federal Trade Commission, FTC, warn that even if a voice sounds familiar, people should not assume it's real. If someone calls claiming to be a relative in distress and urgently requests money, experts urge verifying the story by contacting that person directly. While some have attempted to fight fire with fire, like the British phone company that built an AI-powered granny to waste scammers' time, officials caution against engaging with or attempting to outsmart fraudsters. Instead, awareness remains the most effective defense. Agencies like the AARP and the Better Business Bureau provide scam alerts and tracking tools. Older adults who believe they've been targeted can also reach out to the National Elder Fraud Hotline, a resource from the U.S. Department of Justice dedicated to supporting victims aged 60 and above. As the case against the 25 Canadians unfolds, authorities hope it sends a clear message. Those who prey on the vulnerable will be pursued. no matter where they operate.